Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today I'm going to be working on my Texas Ebony. I've mentioned what I needed to do in the past. It has a really ugly root base that was made by girdling the roots around while it was young. Above it, there's some good swelling, so if I can remove the old root base and create a new one, not in that order, I think I would like this tree better. I gave very similar advice to a tree shown by Xavier on Expressions of Grace or the Bonsai Retreat, whichever you want to go with. So I want to use the advice I gave someone else on my own tree. I'll show you in close-up why this tree needs help. So let me give you a quick overview of the tree before I zoom in on the roots. But you may already see what I'm talking about down there. The tree is healthy this year, although this is still the spring flush. It hasn't grown out anymore here, but it certainly has sent up a nice shoot right here. Ideally, I want to shorten it to here, but I don't think I want to do anything on the tree while I'm doing the exercise I'm doing now. I want it to stay as healthy as possible. So let me show you the area of concern. So my thought is, since this is the widest part of the root base above this, why not make a strategic cut right along here. I'll mark it with tape or something. It's going to get tricky back here because I think the tree is way in under this bark. But I've got to get down to nothing and try and come up with a place. And I think it's right about here. Right about here. And maybe I change the angle when I'm planting. I'll try to make this as 90 degrees as possible, but it looks like it's going to go up in that direction. And as long as this process takes today, I've got to complete it because I can't leave this one partially undone. All right, then the idea will be to strip away the bark down to the cambium layer and down to sapwood if possible, and build up a dam around this. Fill it with sphagnum moss and possibly some fines just to keep it crumbly so it falls away and I don't have so much problems taking the sphagnum moss out of the roots. Fill that up, let it go a season or two. This comes in the winter, so I'm not that worried about it. And pin this down with these little pins that I made. 4 of them. I'll probably tape it across here too to keep it in place. Put some fines around it to hold it down. And hope for the best. I mean, I don't hate this tree, but I do hate that base. There's places where you can see right through it. Or there were. I think over here. Yeah. You can see right through over here. And who wants that? So wish me luck. I'm going to get going on it and you'll all see what I'm doing. Since I don't exactly know where I'm going to cut, I'm going to put tape representing the spot just below the cut area, and I will cut everything above that. But I want to put it on with electrical tape so I could remove it and move it around if I indeed feel that that's necessary. All right, so looking for a good spot. ask you to imagine that that's ground. That's the ground level. So it's going to look creepy in some spots, but you know, nice in others if that's ground level. This is quite a nice root base. So the first thing I've got to do is cut that line above, and then God help me on what I'm going to do below that. I might actually have to use a saw to get down in there, a fine saw, but let's see how this goes. I can't find my, although it may be somewhere, my grafting knife. Maybe I took it inside to sharpen it. I thought I brought it back out. All right. You know what I'm doing. I'm going to go in fast motion. Okay, I've gone through all the way around. It's a little weird. Over here, the bark is loose. If I lose this, you know, that's a nice part of the flare. I guess I could hide it around, but I'm going to try not to lose it. Now, the part that's really got me nervous is I've got to go pretty far down here and get all the way through, all the way around. So what I've got to do is expose a little bit more of this, I guess by dumping a bit of the top layer out. Okay, let me do that and we'll come right back. All right, I pulled a little of the soil away. Now I'm just going to go in with a chopstick, which is one of the reasons I've been avoiding doing this, but I can't keep looking at this root base. It is just horrid. And, you know, I went on a rant in November when I repotted this thing against, you know, plant or bonsai creating techniques in mass production. And yeah, I guess girdling these roots around like this probably made for quicker work, but it sure did make for an ugly bonsai. This tree has excellent potential. So I don't know what I'm going to do down here. I think I'm going to take a saw and go around and see if I can't get to a reasonable place in the heartwood, or in the sapwood rather, to start removing. I'm not going to take this tape off yet so I can clearly see where I cut the top of that, but I've got to be below this. It's not going to be easy. Just wish this tree well in the future. I will be as good a steward as I possibly can be. Okay, now I've got a clear delineation between where I cut and where I sawed. So I'm going to try and see how easy it is to expose the wood. And it looks like it's not going to be easy at all. Let's see. There's something I can use. I'll get to a place where it looks like it'll start. This is uncharted waters for me. Before I started this, I found really the one ground layering video out there that's, you know, very informative. So I'm following those same techniques. My challenge will be distinguishing between the layers. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. part of what I'm digging through are those girdling roots. I'm going to be asking this tree a lot to put out all new roots. So I'm going to have to be extra vigilant about the needs of this tree. I got a lot of digging to do. I'll go into time lapse again. All right, I'm going to mix some rooting hormone with a little water and brush it onto the underside of there, not really caring how much I get down below. And I'm hoping for the best. I think I got all the pathways that nutrients could come from below. I've got a mixture of sphagnum moss and the fines from my normal bonsai mix. And I'm gonna add a little water to this. See if I can make a slurry. A little more. So before the wind blows it away. All right, that ought to do it. Oh, I so hope this works. It's a pretty nice root base, if it does. Okay, do your stuff. I don't see any reason to ligature it. It's going to have spaces where it can't get into, and I guess that's okay. All right, now I'm going to locate this around it. I think I want to cut one root that's sticking out here. Might be feeding a lot of things, but it's kind of in the way, so forgive me. I think the rest of this will sit flush. All right, I'm going to pin this in place. I'm also going to tape that, but I didn't bring the tape out with me, so I'll tape it, but soon. One more pin. That ought to be enough, but I'm going to have to tape it here too. It'll separate. I'm going to try that electrical tape. going to work nicely. 2 more pieces. That ought to stay in place. All right. Let me get the inside filled with the wet sphagnum and bonsai soil mix, bonsai fines. I'm going to put it in and really pack it down. Now, why don't I speed this up? I'm sure you'd appreciate that. All right, so I put some soil on the top to help preserve the moisture down below. I piled up some old soil around the side so it doesn't move all that much. This will be allowed to sit undisturbed now. August, September, and probably the beginning of October outside. And then I'll have to bring it in the greenhouse for the month of October probably. The month of November probably. And then in the house for the December through March. So hopefully I didn't just kill this tree. Hopefully it finds its ability to create roots and does so in the remaining months of the summer. So once again, thank you for keeping me company in my backyard. My Texas Ebony has been dealt with. Cheers.